Before I met my husband, I was actually in a place where I was just trusting and waiting on God for Him to show me what my purpose is, because I was like, God, I just don't want to live life without knowing what my purpose is.
So as I sat there in the midst of the three of them, I observed her and I was like, wow, this is a pretty girl. He looks really good. And so it's like I had to shake my head like, I didn't come here to look.
Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. My name is Dee.
And I'm Nat.
And we are so excited to bring our very awaited video, How We Met.
That's right.
Right. So guys, we're just gonna do a very short one for part 1, and then you guys will look forward for part 2, okay? All right, how did we meet, Mr. Pratt?
In short, I and my wife, we reside in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, where we are presently recording this video. And I made a trip to the nation of Kenya. As most of you would know, my wife was born and reared in Kenya. And as an evangelist, we had a mission trip to the nation of Kenya. Upon my trip to Kenya, I informed a friend of mine of my trip to Kenya. And as we communicated, she shared with me that she had met 3 persons in Kenya. And during my time in Kenya, we should organize that I can meet her 3 friends that she's met. And my wife happened to be one of those persons that this mutual friend of ours met. She linked us together, and this is how we met in short.
All right, so guys, let me tell you all something just to take you a little back. Before I met my husband, I was actually in a place where I was just trusting and waiting on God for Him to show me what my purpose is, because I was like, God, I just don't want to live life without knowing what my purpose is. And so the Holy Spirit led me into a time of fasting and prayer. And I remember the instruction was I should fast for 3 months, and I was fasting 3 days in each week. Every week, 3 days of fasting and prayer. And I remember in my time of fasting, the Lord began to reveal to me my purpose and what I'm supposed to pursue. And in that moment, I remember going on Facebook and I was searching for these women preachers pages just to see how women preachers are, their experiences, And in searching, I found a group that had it had a massive following. And I joined the group, and the thing is, when you join that group, you're supposed to introduce yourself. And I began to introduce myself. But then the thing is, everybody in there was, most of them were older than me, and they really had quite an experience in ministry. But for me, I still didn't have my ministry at the time, and I was still serving under my dad. Well, my dad is a pastor. He's a reverend of a couple churches. And so that's all I told them. I told them, well, I know everybody here has their own ministry. Pardon me. But I do not have a ministry of my own. I am just serving under my dad. And I just joined this group to learn, because I think I'm the youngest in this group. And everybody was so excited to welcome me. So I posted my picture there and I gave them a little bit of my bio, and they were so excited to welcome me, and so many messages came on. And I remember in one of those messages, one of the ladies went into my inbox and she inboxed me and told me, hi, my name is so and so, and I just was led by the Lord to just reach out to you. I don't regularly do this to anybody unless the Lord leads me to them. And so she began to introduce herself to me. Her name is Prophetess Christika Dad, if you're watching. And I was so excited because the connection that the Lord brought between the two of us was really authentic, and it was very spiritual. And I thank God, because after that we continued to take our friendship from Facebook and we exchanged our contacts. She's actually from the Bahamas, and so at that moment I told her that my dad is a pastor. She said, yeah, she's on the platform, and she said, okay, I would like to connect a friend of mine, an evangelist who has an international ministry, who is coming to Kenya, so that you can connect her to your dad and they can become ministry partners or whatever as the Lord leads. And so I was excited. I said, okay, that's good. And so when the time came for the evangelist to come to Kenya, I remember at that point of my life, I was like, I was actually in a place where I was not in a relationship for a little over 6 months. I was not dating anybody, and I was just, well, maybe not 6 months, but almost 6 months. I wasn't dating anybody, but I was just in a quiet place of a consecration. And my heart wasn't really open for a relationship at that point, because I was like, God, unless you show me who exactly it is and you confirm to me that this is the person, I am not opening my heart to any other relationship until you say. And so when this gentleman came, me and the other 3 friends, two more Kenyan friends, we planned to go and meet him, and we met him. And what happened?
So we met at an orphanage that we are working with one of our local pastors in Mathare,
right.
Kenya. And so during our conversation with the 3 of them, my wife and 2 other persons, we met and we exchanged contacts. And after we had exchanged contacts, my wife, I asked her, I said, now you take my number, my phone is dead, I don't have any battery. So take my number and you send me a WhatsApp message. So your message will come through on my WhatsApp once I have gotten power to my WhatsApp. So I will be certain to have your number, and then we can connect with your father as time progressed. So as I sat there in the midst of the 3 of them, I observed her and I was like, wow, this is a pretty girl. She looks really good. And so it's like I had to shake my head like, I didn't come here to look for a wife. I came here for mission. So I had to kind of knock myself, so to speak, and get focused. Little did I know that there was actually something there that the Lord had already organized, outside of my knowledge at that point. So however, our meeting came to an end. The 3 of them left and returned to their places. And then I left about a day after and returned back to the mission field, where we moved to the nation of Tanzania, where we were continuing our missions tour at that time.
Actually, if I remember well, your mission tour was 100 days.
It lasted about 108 or 109 days in total, because we had to extend it by a week.
Right, yeah. And so I think it's very important for me to mention this is that, and I think about a few months before all this happening, I had told I was in a time of 3 day fasting, and I remember the Holy Spirit leading me to give an offering. And I remember I had just gotten a job at that point, and I just took an offering, trusting the Lord for marriage. And the Holy Spirit led me to take an offering out and put it in the envelope. And I remember approaching the assistant pastor to my dad's church, and him and the wife, I called them aside that Sunday after the service, and I told them I want them to bless this offering and to pray over my marriage. And they said they feel led to include my parents. Well, I was a bit shy to do that with my parents, and so they said they feel led to include my parents in the prayer. And all of them, my parents and the 2 of them, came together, prayed over me. And I remember the assistant pastor making a prophecy saying, by this time next year, this prayer will have been fulfilled already. And you see, this event started taking place months after, because I think that was about March, April. And this is happening in the month of June, towards the end of June, going into July. So fast forward, my husband went and traveled to Tanzania, and because he got my number, he started communicating to me. And I remember he was communicating to me very often, right? But then the communication moved from just talking about mission and talking about can I speak with your dad. I remember the first time he asked me to speak to my dad, I think they were on the phone for about 30 minutes, almost an hour. And I remember after that, he kept the conversation. He moved from just talking to me about mission and ministry, to getting to know details about me. And I'm like, wait, this guy is talking to me too much, and this guy he's getting into personal conversations with me. And so I didn't know how to react, because in my mind I wasn't sure if he's married. I didn't know nothing about his private life. But the thing is, that time when we met in the orphanage, I remember him mentioning and saying, hey, my daughter just left, or something like that. I will have introduced you all to my daughter. And in my mind I'm thinking, okay, you have a daughter, so most likely you have a wife, so why are you communicating to me all the time? And so I popped the question and I asked him, why are you, how did I ask it?
You said, I met your daughter, but you haven't shared with me about her mother.
Right.
So that was the question. Now, if you want to know what my response was, you're gonna have to tune in to part 2, because this brings us to the end of part 1.
All right. See you guys on part 2. All right. Hey, before we go, have you subscribed to our channel? Please subscribe to our channel and click on that notification bell so that you will be updated on all the upcoming videos, because guys, it's coming a lot of more of our story. And also press that like, please, and share this video. And hey, stay tuned for part 2. We'll see you in the next video. Thank you and God bless.